All right, welcome in. It is time for Full Court Press. It's mid-major Thursday. Rob Bino, it's all mid-majors. They didn't even try to they couldn't even sneak in a power conference game tonight. It's all mid-major games. I ruined the parlay yesterday on kind of like a little bit of stupidity on my part. I probably should have just put the Marshall money line for the parlay. I feel like I always do that. Of course, the night I don't do that, we get hooked. I had Marshall minus 2.5. They come all the way back to win by 2. So we lose the parlay. Your team total gets over pretty easily in the end. Was a whole bunch of points as we expected in Texas A&M, Missouri. I had one play last night for clients. Sadly, my 5% play fell short with Ole Miss plus 7.5 for 15 minutes. Rob, I thought I felt good. Alabama came out very, very flat, but I had a bad feeling when they closed the first half on a run, and of course the second half was all Alabama. So dropped one there. We'll get it back today. Aside from me messing up the parlay, how was your Wednesday?
Wednesday was pretty good. It was 2-1. I thought I was headed for 3-0. To tell you the truth, I had the A&M team total over. I also had UConn team total over. Surprising to me, Adam, that was listed at 77.5 against Butler, who everybody seems to get 80 against. UConn did the same. They got 80, so that was two good ones. And then the third one where I thought I was in great shape, Tennessee over 76.5 with 63 and over 10 minutes left to go in the game. I'm like, oh, this is great. We need 14 points in 10.5 minutes. And Tennessee proceeded to score 10 points for the remainder of the game. 10.5 minutes, 10 points, hit the brakes, stalled out on me. So it didn't become a 3-0. It became a 2-1, which is still fine. We'll take it. NBA happened to be really good last night, 5-2. So it was a nice night overall. But yeah, the college hoop rolls on. Another winning night.
The college hoop rolls on. That's what we're going to do today, Rob. I know it's not like the big national TV game, but you're a Belmont Bruin. You're a Belmont guy. And this is a huge game in the Missouri Valley. So that's what I want to start off with today. Curb Event Center, 9 p.m. Northern Iowa is suddenly healthy, and they suddenly look like Northern Iowa. Believe they've won 4 or 5. They hit the road to take on what I think we've sort of both settled on as the team to beat in the Missouri Valley this year. Belmont has looked awesome, and this should be a solid atmosphere at Curb. Someplace you've been. Probably this is rare, Rob. You've been to Curb Event Center. I have not. Yeah. That is. I still got to get down there. But how are you seeing this one for Belmont? What do you think it's going to be like tonight? And do you think they cover what maybe is a little bit bigger of a number than people might have expected?
Yeah, there's nothing like seeing Bruiser the Bruin come down a bungee cord at center court from the rafters for a Belmont game. Yeah, this is interesting, Adam, because Belmont did beat Northern Iowa rather handily first time around, 78-65. Interesting that game was played exactly the way Ben Jacobson, head coach of Northern Iowa, would want it to be played, a 58-possession game. And yet in a 58-possession game, Belmont almost got 80. They got 78. 1.33 points per possession in that game. Outstanding number for Belmont. You mentioned what I think may be the key ingredient right off the top, though, when you said Northern Iowa finally healthy. They played that game without Tristan Smith. How about their record? They played 8 games. He was out for 8 games with a hip injury. They went 2-6 in those 8 games. Other games that he's been involved in, every game that he's been involved in, they're 13-3. And they beat some decent mid-major non-conference along the way as well, teams that we consider to be good teams, or played them extremely tough. So Northern Iowa, with Tristan Smith, is a big deal. Ben Jacobson refers to him as their defensive anchor. Northern Iowa kind of has a group. They rotate maybe 8 or 9, but they have a group of 6 that played the bulk of the minutes, he being one of them, leading rebounder, or at least tied for being leading rebounder on the team. Does a lot of the stuff that, they call it dirty work in basketball, but he does a lot of that. And for Belmont to get 78 the first time without his presence on the defensive end, we'll see how that goes this time, even though this one's at home. for Belmont. In that first game, the two main guys for Northern Iowa, Leon Bond, Trey Campbell, they shot lousy from 3 of 15 from 3. And those are the two guys that launched the most for Northern Iowa. So we'll see if they can correct that on the road. Belmont's been a pretty good defensive team all season long. For Belmont, the home numbers aren't really what you would think they would be, because Belmont is such a good team and basically plays good at home. They're 6-1 straight up at home. Nothing wrong with that in the Missouri Valley. But the point spread record isn't great. 4-3 against the spread. At this particular price of -5, they're 4-3 against the spread. The totals in their games at home inside the conference are 5-2 to the over. Their team total 5-2 to the over. And the lowest amount of points that they've scored at home this year was 67. It was a 68-67 loss to Southern Illinois. A team that, Northern Iowa shoots it better than Southern Illinois, but they're basically the same style, same philosophy. Slow, play defense. I think Southern Illinois is probably a little more aggressive defensively than Northern Iowa is, but you get the point. This is a tough game. Obviously, Northern Iowa's got some ground to make up inside of the conference. Belmont sits with the 1 seed. A win here would do wonders for them being the 1 seed in the Missouri Valley tournament. They're off of a loss to Bradley. I happened to watch that game the other night, and tell you the truth, Belmont probably should have won that game in regulation. Went cold the last, I would say, 90 seconds, 2 minutes. Bradley made some big plays, big 3. And then in overtime, it was no contest. It was all Bradley. So obviously Belmont would like a bounce back here after that Bradley game. Northern Iowa absolutely destroyed Murray State. For anybody who watched that game, Murray State never had a chance. As good as they are offensively, it was Northern Iowa who almost put up 90 in that contest, playing it kind of towards Murray's style. So I would say, in my opinion here, the people who got to the total were probably correct early. I don't see this game staying under what the initial price was of 134.5. We're now pushed up to 137.5. And like I said earlier, the lowest scoring game Belmont's played in this gym is 135 against Southern Illinois. I'd give Northern Iowa more offensive credit than that. So there's probably still the slightest bit of wiggle room in that 137.5 to still play over. But I don't know if I could lay 5 with Belmont here, to tell you the truth. And the money's going Northern Iowa's way. I just think Smith, it could become that big of a deal. For Belmont, again, no Nick McLean, but otherwise really healthy. And when you get to the tactics of this, Adam, it's for Northern Iowa, I know they would probably prefer to slow it down even further by zoning, but you just can't zone Belmont. So you got to kind of play them man-to-man, because otherwise they chew you up with their passing and their shooting over the top. Be an interesting game. They've seen each other a lot. I think if I had to choose out of these two, I'd probably still choose over 137.5.
Yeah, you made a lot of good points, and I'll just kind of echo a couple of those. So the first one is going to be very difficult to find value with Belmont at home, right? This is a 22-4 team that's been 10-2 at home. They're at the top of the Valley standing. So good luck, like thinking you're going to get like value on the point spread on Belmont at home. I saw some market manipulators in earlier. This got knocked down to 4.5, quickly bet back up. There's still a couple of books that are slow to move back. You can still get 5 a lot of places, couple 4.5s out there. I think that was a little bit of like that. I saw a couple folks in the chat saying, maybe try to find a way to play money line into Belmont. I don't hate that idea. I'm not a big parlay guy, but the way the timing works out, it's a 9 p.m. Eastern game. If you can find something at 6 or 7 that you like on the money line, at least maybe if you have action into Belmont at 9 o'clock. Go back to the game on Monday. Yeah, Northern Iowa laid it on Murray State, 89-60. But I want to comment on that game a little bit. First, Rob, I think that's a better matchup for Northern Iowa. They won the first meeting as well, right? So they won the first meeting as well. Second, Murray State has just been off shooting the ball for like 3 weeks now. And Murray State went 5 for 25 from 3 in that game and shot 39% from the field. So I look at that, very impressive performance by Northern Iowa. No question getting Tristan Smith back matters and has helped them immensely. But some of that 89-60 is on Murray State. Just, it's more on Murray State, in my opinion, than it is Northern Iowa just being like so dominant that we have to like fear playing against Northern Iowa at this point. So I kind of agree with the sentiment that like line is right. I see a couple folks in the chat saying line is right. Yeah, I think I made this Belmont minus 5.4. So right in line with like where it is right now. I would love to find a way to play Belmont because when it comes down to it, Rob, you have two teams that are solid defensively that should be able to, theoretically should be able to like get stops and alter what the other team wants to do. But then you get to Belmont, their floor spacing, their ability to make shots. I would rather have that on their home floor than Northern Iowa trying to score on this Belmont team on the road. Belmont won the first meeting by 13. A lot of those matchup sort of things came into play, right? I don't think Northern Iowa, I think they maybe scored 65 points in that game. So I'd love to find a way to play Belmont. I don't know that there's enough value at -5, but you can get creative here, Rob. Maybe it's a slow start and you can jump in with Belmont live, right? Maybe you find another money line that's at 6 or 7 Eastern. And the reason I like that is not that I'm a huge money line parlay guy, but you would at least know if you have your Belmont money line action before that, by the time that game is over. So then if you don't, you can, maybe look for a chance to jump in live. If this got knocked down to 4, I think I might be willing to lay with Belmont at 4. But at 5.5, 6, it's just a little. I think the books did a good job, which is not surprising. The books tend to do a good job. We're here to find the couple spots they don't do a good job. Typically, the books do the right, are on it, and I think they're sort of dead on with the number on the side here.
And I think just if you wanted to just go general theory, Northern Iowa got everything they wanted other than Smith not playing in game 1, a 58-possession game on their home floor, everything to their style, and Belmont routed them by 13. And you figure when you flip it to Nashville now, Belmont probably gets a little more pace on their home floor at times during this game. You wonder if Smith is a big enough defensive deal to stop Belmont from shooting 69% from two-point range. I think we both tried to make this point, Adam. It's not just Belmont shooting over the top of things and having an array of three-point shooters, but it's the way they pass and cut that just tears teams up. And Northern Iowa, as disciplined as they are, got torn up from inside the arc with the passing in the mid-range and the layups at the rim. Sharnowski's been great as a big man for Belmont. So what I just, while you were talking, I looked at the Belmont individual team total of 71.5. Got 78 the first time, doing everything Northern Iowa wanted to do. To get to 72, doing some things that they want to do this time around, I don't think that's out of the question for Belmont. It's hard to lay the points because you could see 72-67, 72-68, something like that. But you would win your team total on the Belmont side in that case.
All right. Manzi, $7.77 peace offering to me. I think it was because he liked Arizona on Monday and they lost. That was listen, no shame in that, even without Darren Peterson. What a game that was. What an effort by Kansas. We appreciate the donation. Manzi, if you want us to hit a certain game, let me know. Because we appreciate the donation. We want to make sure we get you a game as well. So drop a game in the chat if you want to hear a certain game. We got Ski Profit here this morning. He says, good luck today, fellas. Appreciate Ski tuning in as always. If you're interested in NBA, Rob does an NBA show with Ski. Rob, do you want to promo the show that you do with Ski real quick for the folks that might not know about it?
Let's do that while Ski's in the chat. It's Ski's show, Profit Picks. He built it from a YouTube show right into a WagerTalk show now. We go every day, 1:45 East, 10:45 Pacific. cover the NBA board. Other things at time as well. When football season's going on, we'll cover some NFL. We may end up covering some college basketball. Ski's also had a great season in college basketball. Follows that. Some specific teams, some specific conferences. Good at what he does. So we have a good time. That show, Adam, is because of the chat room in that show. It's intelligent like this one is. And it's a pretty fun-loving show. Sometimes we get off topic a little bit. But every day, Monday through Friday, 1:45 East, 10:45 Pacific, the entire NBA card. Today it'll be short. WagerTalk TV called Profit Picks.
This doesn't happen as much anymore. But if you go back to like 20 years, almost every pick seller had a made-up name. Like that was just a thing to do. That's like an old-school tactic. My birth name, the name my parents gave me, Adam, last name, Trigger, real last name. Even more incredible, Profit is Ski's real last name. Like, I feel like that doesn't get enough love. That is, I mean, you were just destined to be a better with that last name. Incredible. Incredible stuff. I think one of our like the managing like partners, like when he was like filling out his paperwork, was like, there's no way that's real. And he's like, no, it's my real name. So shout out to Ski. You guys should be watching the NBA show. You said 2 p.m. Eastern, Rob?
It's 1:45 Eastern and 10:45 Pacific.
Love it.
Monday through Friday.
Monday through Friday. Rob Bino, the hardest working man at WagerTalk. If you're doing an NBA show and a college basketball show, because my head is spinning just from doing the college hoops every day. All right, let's get back into it. We've talked about these teams, and I want to go to Colin here because Colin has given us a suggestion to close out that Belmont parlay. So I guess let's decide if we agree with Colin. Colin says you could go Wilmington to Belmont if you wanted to. And Wilmington does make some sense, Rob Bino. They are at home tonight. I had a nice winner with Wilmington in their most recent game. They went down to Charleston, got a big win, I'll go as far as to say they kind of got their season back on track, even though they had won 2 games, prior to getting blown out by William and Mary. Those 2 losses by William and Mary sort of knocked them temporarily out of the top spot in this league. It looked like at one point Wilmington was just going to run away with this league this year. And the Tribe said, no, that's not going to be the case. Watching that Charleston game and just how dominant Wilmington was, I started to think, boy, maybe William and Mary is just a bad matchup for this team. Yeah. And I think you even kind of alluded to that being the case as well. Wilmington's back home, Trask Coliseum, where they've been incredible over the years, 11-2 again this year. Elon, you would praise Billy Taylor for the efficient offense he was running earlier this year, but as we see the season go on, it's starting to become apparent that this is not last year's Elon team. No Simpkins twins, no Nick Dorn, and more importantly, no Matthew Van Komen, who was the anchor of that 2-3 zone that really allowed them to defend out on the perimeter and let Van Komen sort of anchor the zone. Last year's team, I would have given a chance against Wilmington. This year's Elon team, not so much. I kind of agree with Colin. I think if you were going to do a money line play, a money line parlay, that's the way to go. Wilmington, Belmont. Rob, do you have anything on side or total here? Trask Coliseum, Wilmington, North Carolina tonight.
Yeah, I think what you find with Elon, Adam, is the defense wasn't good to begin with, but as you just mentioned, we're into mid-February now when fatigue can start to set in and when a bad defense just becomes a full erosion of defense. Give up 82 to Drexel the other day. Drexel's not known for offense. Double overtime, but 87 to Hampton. Hampton not known for offense. And now you get Wilmington coming in. Elon doesn't defend the 3. Not that Wilmington is the greatest 3-point shooting team out there, but when you give them that additional asset to score with, I think that's important. You've mentioned quite a few times that Wilmington's size, the advantage in there should be really big in this game. And I do believe, at first I thought Well, Elon kind of plays similar to William and Mary, but it's really not that close. William and Mary is a constant pressure team, like made basket press, just keep the game going at rapid pace the entire way. Elon plays quick, but they don't play like that. And I do believe that William and Mary matchup, the more we see of NC Wilmington season, is, and we'll look for that in conference tournament time if that happens again, because William and Mary just has been a bad matchup for them. Otherwise, Wilmington's had a good time of it inside the league. I wouldn't argue this at all to the Elon side. 3 straight losses, not the 3 best. And Drexel's had a surprisingly good season, so I don't want to put them in not the best type teams in the league statement, but Stony Brook and Hampton certainly aren't. So we'll see here. I don't know that this is a tailor-made matchup for Elon. It's not the kind of team that they would find success against. Wilmington defensively, Wilmington size-wise, not stuff that Elon can combat. So, yeah, I could agree with Colin here. If you're going to fill it out, Wilmington's a pretty solid choice.
The more I look at it, the more I absolutely love that parlay. I don't know if you're getting that, like, roughly even money or even like up to -110, I haven't done the math on that yet. That is a very strong 2-teamer in my opinion, because my number is I almost like Wilmington laying the 7.5. They've been sketchy at times against like the bigger numbers, but that's typically come on the road, right? Like we've kind of talked about Wilmington and their slow starts on the road. I don't know that they're going to have a slow start at home where they can't overcome 7.5. My number's closer to double digits here. It's closer to 10. Like, and this is really interesting too, Rob. They got like a very, I don't know if it's front loaded, but the all their road games came at once in the conference. They have now played 2, 5, 6 of, it looks like 6 of 8 has been on the road for Wilmington. And the 2 home games in that stretch, William and Mary and Campbell, are arguably the worst matchups for Wilmington in this league. So if you look at the league itself, Wilmington has played, 2, 5, 6 of their last 8 on the road. The 2 home games in that stretch were 2 very, very tough matchups for them because Campbell, of course, Campbell's got one of the old Florida assistants who's really starting to do good things there. And I think that's probably a bad matchup for Wilmington. We know William and Mary's a bad matchup for Wilmington. So you look at that stretch. I mean, this was a team that typically come February, like, is putting teams in body bags at home, Rob. I mean, they usually crush teams in this building, especially lesser teams in this league. So I would lay it there. I'll take a stand. People want picks. They complain. They're like 30 minutes in, we have no picks. Scroll to the end. As always, we're going to timestamp this for you. I know there's some folks out there that wish I was timestamping in real time, which is borderline impossible, but we'll get them up after the show. But I'll take a stand. I like Wilmington -7.5, and I love Collins parlay. I love that. Wilmington to Belmont. Would be very surprised if either of those teams loses tonight. All right, let's quick promo on the package. Couple things we have going on the WagerTalk site. Of course, every day, as long as you guys are buying it regularly, WagerTalk will leave up the 3-day double the firepower CBB special that Rob and I have. It's February 12th. It's still there. So it's been popular enough to keep thus far. But we need you guys to run it up because they will take it off for March when suddenly college basketball is very in demand. So we want that to stay the rest of the season. So keep supporting that. We very much appreciate it. Also, Rob, I got 2 more days to laugh at the $69 6-day special. So we got 2 more days. Actually, I think it's still good through Saturday. So we can really get Kelly to laugh at that too on Saturday. But 3 days left through Valentine's Day, 6 days of all access, $69, because why not? What other price point would you put for the Valentine's Day special, Rob Vino? That's for any handicapper on the site, any sport. So check that out. And we very much appreciate Appreciate you guys tuning in. All right, we have a super chat. The super chats are starred again. All is right in the world. Let's go to BA Bets right here. Let's stay in the coastal. BA Bets says CFC dropout here. Back in the BA Bets, I'm assuming that was back when we called it College of Charleston. I love that name. I'm a little annoyed that they they want to just go by Charleston, because I always Rob, back when I was a kid, it was like College of Charleston. You wouldn't hear about them all year. They'd win whatever league they were in at the time, and then they'd always give someone hell in the NCAA tournament, and it was just I don't know, College of Charleston just rolled off the tongue. Now they want to go by Charleston. It's fine. You've seen this all over the country. Wisconsin, Green Bay just wants to be Green Bay. Missouri, Kansas City just wants to be Kansas City. So I get it. But College of Charleston reminds me of some of those really good old, either SoCon or Big South. I forget what league they were in, but they used to be in a different league. Now they've kind of been the dominant force in the coastal the last couple of years. And, I didn't think they had it this year, Rob, but Charleston is, even with the Wilmington loss, I think they've sort of put themselves in that top grouping again, where it's probably Charleston or Wilmington. A couple of weeks ago, I thought Hofstra could have been in the mix as well. But the more I watch Hofstra play, the more I just think that there's something lacking with the pride. As I watch them play, I think it's the ability to get to the rim, Rob. I think that's where they struggle. It's all jump shots for Hofstra. And that's going to be a problem against Charleston, in my opinion. So let's talk Hofstra Charleston. Do you have a side or total angle that you can give us here?
First time around, and this was a good game, 66-64. Charleston goes to Hempstead, wins that game. And the shooting, Adam, in that contest was miserable. So the first thing, of course, that crosses my mind, you get to 130 with a combined, with Charleston going 3 of 18 from three-point land and still getting to 66 points at 16%, 17% from three, and still getting to 66 points. And for Hofstra, only shooting 35% inside the arc. That's a terrible number inside the arc. Your 2-point percentage has to be way better than 35%. So, you have to question whether or not it was the defense was that good, or if you're going to get a little bit of bounce back offensively from Hofstra inside the arc, Charleston outside the arc. And I generally tend to go to the bounce back approach, where, again, I'll say it, where coaches like to look at what went wrong. And it could have been just been a day of, guys were off, whatever. Or it could have been that the defensive matchup for both sides is that good. Hofstra's scrappy for sure, but I wouldn't think that Charleston gets held down in that point range here again tonight, Adam. Not at home. At the time, Hickman and Duggan were not, I guess they were probably had a bunch of games under their belt, but it seems like that was during the point where Charleston was starting to put things together to the point where they are now. They're actually in this game off of a loss, which makes it even more, which makes me lean even more towards the Charleston side, and especially with Charleston point production. Looks to me like, as I stare here, that the team total for College of Charleston in this game, 71.5, 72.5. Hofstra is still in it, standings-wise, a couple of games behind Charleston, but Charleston has to win this one to try and keep pace with Wilmington, the team that just beat them. I think if it were me, side-wise, the Charleston side to me just seems to be deeper. So I would probably look that way. But more than that, I think that their point production is going to go up here. So if I'm going to take a stance in this game, it's going to be with the Charleston team total at home to get to 73. The defense was really, really good the first time around. Shooting was bad. I think some of that changes here. I would look for Charleston team total to go over. And real quick, I'm with you on these teams that want to be called different. I get yelled at in comment sections all the time for referring to UAB as Alabama Birmingham. It's not Birmingham, Dino. It's UAB or UL Lafayette. They want to be called Louisiana, et cetera, during college football season. Guys will holler at me for kind of being, it's just the way I still refer to that, being in this business so long. But yeah, College of Charleston, and especially when the rotation, the odds board still lists them as College of Charleston, it allows me to
Yeah,
still
I
call that
noticed.
at this point in time.
I noticed that some places will still, will still list it as. I mean, you even see some Missouri, Kansas Cities, Wisconsin, Green Bay has wanted to be Green Bay forever, and I still see some publication. I still see a UWGB pop up every once in a while. So yeah, it's tough when you were one thing for so long to try to train us to do something else. I'm going to take another stand here, Vino. This is I may even I'm logging in. I may even try to like bet this on the fly. I'm going to use Charleston money line for the parlay. Yes, I'm going to use Charleston money line for the parlay. It's really close to pick. It might be -1 right now. I'm going to think about that one probably for the next 20 to 30 minutes. That may make my client card. What it comes down to here, Rob, is I was at Charleston's game with Towson, and what I've noticed watching Charleston the last few weeks is they've very much become a defensive first team. Like you and I have commented on their lack of shooting and offensive struggles. Now, this was a team coming into the year that I thought would have been very good defensively. Then they lose Mr. Dean, great name by the way, Mr. Dean, who was probably their best on-ball defender, best perimeter guard defensive player. Chris Mack's gone to his zone a little bit, and it's worked. He's playing a lot of 1-3-1. And, there's not a plethora of shooting in this league, right? Like there's just like the game with Towson that I was at, the zone worked. It's just Charleston had a horrible shooting night, and they weren't able to overcome shooting the ball poorly. But then again, Towson's the type of team that can make you do that. Towson's the type of team that's going to clean up the offensive glass. Hofstra lacks some of those, characteristics, and they're very, very jump shot reliant. So you could say, well, that's good against the zone, but not if you can't score any other ways. Not if you're not generating good looks. And that's the problem with Hofstra. I think you're going to see a game where Hofstra takes a lot of tough shots. And I just don't know that you go on the road and beat Charleston needing to hit a bunch of tough shots to win the game. So I'm going to go. I had the Wilmington earlier this week against Charleston. I am going to play the College of Charleston bounce back angle here. It's going to be a client play. I'm going to try to punch it in right now, which is going to be I may have to let you take the wheel here, Rob, because it is I'm already having trouble doing it, but yeah, that's going to be the parlay leg as well. So, and I'm actually going to see, so we'll get a consensus kind of number here from the site. And so it looks like it's going to be like -110. If it's -115, I'm just going to put it in as Charleston money line. But this is one that's been kind of hovering on the it's been teetering on the +1.5, -1.5 sort of line all day. So we'll just go with Charleston money line. All right, Rob, let's see. I'll try to do that in a minute. Let's go back to the chat. I think we have another super chat here. Oh, look at man, what a guy. Manji's just saying, no, don't worry about it. Gotta go. He throws us another 777. That's great. I mean, I might have to go find a way to, I may have to go down to Turning Stone and play 7 now, Rob. Just throw it like, I don't know if that's his lucky number. I love that though. Okay, let's go to Mad Max. Oakland is coming off a pretty bad loss. Listen, all the folks that are like, hey, you don't talk enough Horizon ball. Well, we're going to get some Horizon League right here, Rob. Oakland was kind of the team to beat, I would say, coming into the Horizon League this year. I think most people had them first, although I think I noted on this show a couple of different times that the Horizon was very, very open. Like there was a lot of teams that could be in the mix in the Horizon League this season. Let me navigate to this game. This would be where Kelly Stewart asks for a rotation number. I'm not going to do that, though. I'm just going to find it. I'm just going to go through and find it. It's Thursday. Saturday, when there's triple the games, you're out of luck. But I'm going to find it. It's Youngstown State heading up to the O-Arena, I believe they still call this place, Rochester, Michigan. I think I have that right, where the Oakland Grizzlies play. Oakland, listen, apparently no one can beat Cleveland State these days. That's news to me. I thought Cleveland State was going to be one of the worst teams in the league, and they're just on a rampage right now. And Oakland was the latest victim, going to Cleveland State and losing by 13. Oakland has now had 8 days off, Rob Bino, and they get a home game against Youngstown State. They are 10-4, 1 game behind Wright State in what has become a very competitive horizon. I think the thing that's surprising to me here, Rob, is I thought Youngstown State might have been one of the teams that was in the mix, at least sort of vying for, maybe a top 4 or top 5 spot. And that hasn't been the case. The Penguins are down there at 5-9, second to last in the league. So I'll let you start this one off. Mad Max wants to talk about Oakland. He said it's a good spot to bounce back. What do you think, side or total? Oakland, Youngstown State.
Yeah, I don't think I could disagree with a good bounce back spot for Oakland. Obviously, we've always talked about the unique defense that they play. Youngstown has seen them enough. First time around, this game goes 85-83. Oakland on the road, a winner. The one thing that I do notice about Oakland this year is I didn't know that they would be that good of a shooting team, but man, they score. And every time I look up Oakland scoring again, now they give up 91 to Cleveland State. This Horizon League has become pretty much an over type league. We started the year with IU Indy and talking about them and the way they scored. And then all the way through here, there's not much defense. So if I use that as a starting point here, the way I handicap totals, I look at the number 159, now bet down to 156. It seems like there should be some pushback to this number. Team scored 171 the first time around. I don't know that there's a lot that's changed here. Where Oakland is concerned, a lot of times 156 should probably be used as a baseline number and then go from there, depending upon opponent, ability to score, pace of play, et cetera, et cetera. Youngstown kind of fits all the boxes, checks all the boxes as far as a team where Oakland should be able to play a game up and over their baseline number. Now, Youngstown comes off a bad offensive performance against Robert Morris the other night, which again, in my world, bounce back is always a top consideration. So you come off a game against Robert Morris at home where you only score 66. You come to Oakland where they've been a little defensively loose, let's say, as far as point production is concerned. And a lot of that is, a lot of times when a team plays softer defense, it's because of the pace that they play. Oakland's just so fast up and down the floor that sometimes you're going to give up easy buckets. But to me, Adam, I don't see the correlation here between the betting market and the way I think. This game's been pushed down 3 points. And to me, it's a little bit head scratching that they would push the total down. So without getting it to side very much, which has been actually bet Youngstown State's way, I would look over here from Oakland and from Youngstown in a bounce back. And just going back, like I say, to the first game, I don't know how much changes between these two, who points per possession average 129, 126. Those are really good numbers. Oakland, by the way, in that game against Youngstown State, shot 53% from three-point range. Not a lot of threes, but they hit them. And the other side put up 35. I would say for me, this game would be an over. 168 the first time. I can't see much changing here, especially the given circumstances for this spot.
Rob, we agreed on a total yesterday, and it got there pretty easily, right? I'm pretty sure Texas A&M and Missouri went over without much issue, and we are in agreement on an over again here. They call this league jokingly the Horizon League because everyone plays zone. Every team in the league plays zone. Greg Campy's been playing zone at Oakland since before I was conceived, Rob. I was born in 1986. He's been at the school since 1984. Playing that sort of like, Tom Izzo always complains about it. They're really good buddies, and he always complains about having to play Campy zone. But you know what? Like Youngstown, they can shoot the ball. Like their issues are probably more on the defensive end. This is a team that when it was Jared Calhoun, it's not anymore. Those Jared Calhoun Youngstown's teams were very, very, very good. And they really just there was a lot of offensive freedom in those Youngstown State teams where they were just, allowed to almost react to what they weren't running anything super rigid. They were allowed to react to what the opponent was going to do. And I still think Youngstown's kept a lot of those principles here. It's just they're just not getting the caliber of player that they were getting a couple of years ago. Point is, they still shoot it. It's like everyone's got a green light. They shoot the ball well as a team, 35.4% from three. All of the offensive metrics for Youngstown are decent. They're all in the top 100 nationally. Youngstown might have some second chance points here. Oakland doesn't rebound typically well. You'll see that too. Teams that play constant zone typically are not elite rebounding teams. So, the reason I bring all of that up is Oakland is the obvious better team here. They're the obvious favorite. 5-point favorite at home. I think I could maybe agree with Mad Max and say it might be a point light. But, there might be some open court turnover points for Oakland here. Youngstown State doesn't take care of the ball whatsoever. So, what you're going to get from Youngstown State is, they'll move it quickly and get up a shot. But this is not a team that's got great ball movement that takes care of the basketball well. So you could get some turnover fast break points for Oakland. And then Oakland, I mean, they're the team that arguably will score. They're the one that if you're betting the over, Rob, you're probably counting on more points from Oakland anyway. So I think the way I'm looking at this is, well, if Youngstown State looks like they can contribute at the rate that I think they can contribute at here, you're probably going to get the math, as you like to say, Rob, is probably there for an over. So I'm with you. I'll co-sign that total with you, Rob Vino.
And real quick, Adam, the only two times in league that Youngstown State has been held under 70, they bounced back their next league game and scored 83 or more, and both of those games went over. This will be the third time that situation will exist. They were held under 70 previous game, and the bounce back toward the over has been good, both team total wise and full game wise for them in each of the first two instances.
All right, let's head to the American. I think some would say this is the feature game. Listen, in a world where Memphis is actually like a Memphis team, this probably would have been the feature tonight. Rob, just plain and simple, Memphis has not played good enough this year for them to just get the auto feature game on Rob and Adam's full court press show. They got bumped down the line for Belmont, Northern Iowa, which is a better game. But this is a big one in what has become an insane logjam in the American Conference. So last night, South Florida wins, Tulsa loses. This is what the American standings look like coming into right now. South Florida 9-3, Tulsa 8-4, Memphis 7-4, Temple 7-4, Charlotte 7-4, Wichita 7-5. The upset win for UAB now has UAB 7-5. There's 7 or 8 teams, Rob, that still have a legitimate chance to win this league, and it's February 12th. You just don't see that very often. So parity has been huge in this league this year. And, I guess I'm not surprised about this. North Texas is not in that group. This is the first year under Danielle Robinson. I do think there's some potential with this North Texas team, but it's really tough at a school like North Texas to lose to Grant McCaslin and then hit it out of the park with Ross Hodge, to lose Hodge. And then this is the third coach in how many years? They've lost a ton of talent. Tyler Perry is not walking through that door right now. It's that's just the thing. It's a transition year for North Texas. But then again, Rob, Memphis has been a pretty big disappointment, I think, by all accounts, from what I think many people expected them to be. So where are you at on Memphis, North Texas tonight at the Super Pit in Denton, Texas?
Yeah, I'm at the stage where I can't play North Texas. Generally, I mean, a game like this in years past, even like last year, you would jump at the opportunity to take North Texas plus 2.5 at home, thinking, man, I'm going to win this game like 63-60 and not really have a lot of concern about it. But North Texas just can't score. Yeah, I've watched them enough where they just can't find the basket. And Memphis is as good at defense as North Texas is. Memphis actually statistically is better at defense than North Texas is as far as efficiency inside league games is concerned. So, North Texas, they have to have that advantage in my mind this year. They have to have that advantage where they're playing a team at home that's not a very good defensive team, where their poor shooting can exist but still score enough to beat the opponent. Here, I'm not sure that their poor shooting can exist and beat Memphis. Memphis is more apt, in my mind, to come up with points than North Texas is. It's a short number, 2.5. Now, the other side of that equation is if I go to the window with Memphis, I have to trust Memphis. And they just haven't been trustworthy so far this year. But I would think that even in a North Texas style game, which I'm going to assume this game is going to be played the way North Texas wants it to be played, I still think in that style of game, Memphis is the better team with the higher ceiling, simply because, North Texas would have to hold Memphis to, I don't know, I'm going to use a base number here. I'd say Memphis would have to North Texas would have to hold Memphis to like 34% shooting tonight, 33% shooting in order to win this game. Not that they have to win because they're getting 2.5, but I would say if Memphis shoots better than 34, they probably win by 3. So for me, this is going to be Memphis. Very disappointed in the way North Texas has played this year. I mean, they haven't failed on the defensive side, Adam. They're still the same as their reputation and their perception goes. But you watch them play, and if they take a jump shot, there's certain guys know it's going in. When North Texas puts it up, you just know it's a brick. It's coming off somewhere. You got to be able to out-rebound Memphis. I don't think they can. I don't think they'll get enough second-chance points. So I would probably lean Memphis in this game minus the 2.5 total. If the opener that we're seeing on our odds screen of 130.5 is correct, there's been a 7-point move to the over. Seems a little drastic to me, 137.5. That's assuming that the initial opener is correct as we see it on our screen. I'm not sure that it is, but that total is probably in a good place. I would lean Memphis or else just lay off the game.
Rob, there is an insane scheduling dynamic here. And I understand what Memphis was trying to do. So Memphis going into the season probably thought that come mid-February, they'd be in the mix for an at-large. And so they went ahead and scheduled a trip out to Logan, Utah this weekend to play a non-conference game with Utah State. The reason for that is simple. The American is now perceived to be probably a one-bid league, right? Unless it was Memphis was probably the only team that scheduled to the way where it's like they could have probably made, if they were winning a lot of these non-conference games or like some of their bigger games, they would have been in line for an at-large. So what it meant, this is actually genius. I'd like to see more conferences do this, but basically they got together with Utah State and said, hey, Utah State, you guys are going to probably be in the same boat trying to get an at-large out of the Mountain West. Why don't we play each other mid-February? Rob, it reminds me of the good old days of Bracket Buster Saturday.
Right.
Which as a Siena College kid, where the team was really good, was like literally like we used to look forward to that all year because we knew that we were going to end up getting a big game on national TV. I think one year Siena went out to Boise. A different year, I believe we had Butler back when Butler was still a quote unquote mid-major. So that's awesome that they did that. But like the mentality has to be this has to be the more important game now, right? Because there's no way Memphis is sitting there thinking that they're getting an at-large bid at this point. I don't think I think that's off the table a little bit. So wouldn't you think that right now the focus is on North Texas and not so much the game on Saturday? Whereas like, let's say Memphis was coming into this weekend and they were like on the fringe of being a top 25 team. I think, okay, you could say maybe this is a look ahead spot for Memphis. Now I think this is the bigger game. And, I'll go back to something that I said prior to the UAB game when we talked about these two teams last Thursday. I felt like that UAB game was like the penny rally the troops, come to Jesus type, like, I think I use that term just to be like, hey, we got to get back on the right path or right track. We just lost to Tulane. There's still a lot of season left. We can still win our league. Okay. And they went out on the road in Birmingham. They won by 10. Next time out, they absolutely trash a Charlotte team that has played very well this year. So I kind of think Memphis might be on a little bit of a war path right now. And when you look at the road trip, which is going to be Denton to Logan, Utah, I got to think Penny's like, hey, forget about Saturday right now. We'll worry about Saturday on Saturday. This is the game we need to win on this trip. And that is bad news if you're North Texas, in my opinion. So, Rob, I'm with you. I like Memphis here as well. All right, Rob, we have 10 minutes left. The floor is yours. I've already given out Charleston as one leg of the parlay, and I did manage to get it in for clients. So we've got one leg. I'm going to ask you for a second, and if we have time, if you want to get crazy, we can make it a 3-teamer. But let's go to you for whatever game you want to talk about. You have the floor.
All right, let's go to. I'm going to play a full game total over here. Delaware and FIU, 7:00 Eastern start. Number has been pushed from 44.5 to 145.5. Couple of reasons here that I like this game up and over. Obviously, whenever it comes to Jeremy Ballard's team and the pace that they play at FIU, it's the fastest pace in Conference USA. It's pretty much by far, they and Kennesaw are the two teams that go the quickest. But Delaware is the worst defensive team in the league efficiency-wise. So you get the fastest-paced team at home against the worst defense in the league. And Adam, we talked about this early, and part of the handicap here is I think it starts to show up now. This is the third distance road trip that Delaware is going to go on this year. We talked about how these teams have to go, like if you're Delaware, you have to go to Texas schools, you have to go to Missouri, et cetera, et cetera. This will be the third time they're going to go on one of these back-to-back roadies that aren't really close to home. Not that FIU is out of the Eastern time zone, but still trip again for Delaware. A team that wants to play at the slowest pace in the league probably gets sped up here by FIU tonight. FIU enters off of playing three of the best defensive teams in the league. They just got done playing Jacksonville State, Middle Tennessee, and Western Kentucky. Those three all rank in the top 4 of Conference USA defenses. It's not easy to score against those guys. It's not easy to make those teams run. But yet FIU got Jacksonville State amazingly to play an 80-possession game. Middle Tennessee was overtime, so the possession numbers are a little bit skewed, but it was a fast game. Western Kentucky, game hits 150. Western Kentucky generally doesn't want to move that quickly. So you've got three really good defensive teams. It's a step down defensive class for FIU. It's a pace matchup that they'll probably enjoy. We're going to get enough scoring opportunities here. I think that this number, again, when I play these things, I'm always looking for matchup advantages against season-long statistics because that's how odds makers price these games. This game's priced 144.5 opener because Delaware's, their season-long results indicate that they're slower paced, they're lower scoring, et cetera, et cetera. It doesn't really factor in the fact that, FIU will probably speed them up here. There's enough of that incorporated along with FIU's results to give you a number that's, it's attackable here, is a word I like to use when I think these totals are a little bit too short. Delaware will score in this game. They should be able to score because FIU doesn't play a lot of defense whatsoever. FIU doesn't really rebound on the defensive end, so Delaware can get second chances. There's just a lot of matchup angles here, Adam, along with what I think might be somewhat of a fatigue road trip for Delaware, especially by the second game. I think the game that follows this is a trip to Missouri State. And
yeah,
maybe
someone was like, yeah, it's close enough. They look at the league. Well, we'll just have them go to Springfield, Missouri after going to Miami.
Yeah,
no big deal.
I mean, Saturday could be a real.
It's on the way home.
But I'm going to say, yeah, it's like when you have a connector to Missouri, you go through Miami Beach. But you get the idea here. I think there's a lot of things that favor FIU scoring high in this game. I think Delaware will follow suit because FIU doesn't defend. Listen, FIU hasn't been under this particular number, 145.5, their last 9 games, 8 of them have been over this total. And there's all kinds of teams inside this Conference USA. We've talked about how kind of eclectic it is, so to speak. So for me, I think the number's right. I was thinking it would be more towards the 150 range. I was thinking more of like a 78-72 type final in this one. And I sit here and get 145. So I'm going to play that as our parlay leg. FIU Delaware over 145.
Yeah, I mean, listen, people, I see some folks in the chat saying FIU plays no defense, saying FIU is, good team total look. Like Delaware's awful defensively. There's not, I mean, this is not a good basketball team. They've been quite unorganized. Remember, Delaware is stepping up in class to the Conference USA from the Coastal, where they finished near the bottom of the league last year. It's mostly guards. Like there's going to be easy buckets probably to be had in the paint for FIU if they can get the ball in there. I guess the one thing Delaware does okay is they do have some guards that can play. But I would say, like you look at the game they played last weekend, that's a nice win for them. Overtime win over Middle Tennessee State, 89-88. So they've shown the ability, like, listen, that's not a terrible team, Middle Tennessee State. They've showed the ability to put the ball in the basket. Delaware hits their free throws. You got to love that. You're talking about a game that's like, could see some fouls because neither team is super organized defensively. Delaware, 43rd in the country in free throw shooting, 76.2% as a team. Both teams in the top 100 from three. But I'll tell you what, Rob, Delaware won't get a single rebound in this game. They are going to get murdered on the glass by Florida International here. So you start to throw in some second chance points in an ugly game, in a game where neither defense is very good. Both teams can hit the outside shot. This feels like it could be playground ball for a little while at stretches. But like, hey, if the shots are falling, you may have another game in the 80s. And you don't even need to get into the 80s here. What did you say this was? 140? Mid 140s?
Yeah, it's funny. Somebody had said the other day, odds makers watch this show. As I was talking, it went all the way up to 146 now. So we have to use 146 as our number. But it just got bad. And I would say this, Adam, it probably could have been a stronger play on a client card for me if, in fact, I knew because Julian Mackey didn't play last game for FIU, second leading scorer on the team. Doesn't mean FIU is not going to play with pace again. Doesn't mean that they don't have another guy that's going to come in and be able to do a formidable job offensively. But if he were involved, I probably would have bet this one even stronger than I did.
Yeah, and I just wanted to sort through. I mean, FIU is 12th. Not 12. They're ranked 12 in KenPom adjusted tempo. So I don't think one guy is going to like knock them off of the pace that they're going to try to play. Listen, Delaware getting sucked into that. Delaware getting sucked into that type of game. That I don't know that Delaware is dictating anything against anyone. Like, this is the worst team in this league. They've been pretty outmatched in a lot. They'll have their day every once in a while where they step up and like upset a middle of the pack team in this league, like a Missouri. Who did I just say they beat? Middle Tennessee State. But they're going to do it by hitting threes. 89-88. They're not digging in and winning a game on the defensive end. They will upset someone by just going bombs away and hitting a bunch of shots. So, Rob Bino, I think you found a good one right here. And we'll go two-teamer today. We'll go two-teamer today, two-teamer tomorrow, three-teamer over the weekend with Kelly. So today's parlay, plus 260. Actually, you can actually probably get Charleston +1 minus 110 right now. That keeps going back and forth. That one keeps flip-flopping. I ended up giving it out to clients at minus 110 on the money line, but there are some Charleston +1s out there right now. So for the parlay, we're just going to call it Charleston money line minus 110. That's a 4% client play for me. I really like the Cougs to get it done tonight at home. And then Robino is going to go a little bit south for what should be just a disaster of a game. Delaware, FIU, very little defense played, lots of shots being chucked up, and hopefully most of them going in to hit over 146. So Charleston, money line, Delaware FIU over 146. As always, I see a bunch of people in the chat looking for other games. I'm going to probably have a pretty big card today. I already got 2 locked in, and there's probably 2 or 3 more coming. Rob is going to have his usual spread of plays. You can get both of them, double the CBB firepower. Have a great day, everyone. We will see you guys in the morning for more Full Court Press.